G'day folks, Jimmy back again with another video, and this week I'm going to continue my little series of videos that I'm doing on the music industry and pitfalls and all that sort of stuff. So let's go! Okay, so on the last video I did, we talked about electronic press kits or EPKs and engaging PR firms, a PR firm for helping you. So if you missed that one, you can go back on YouTube and find it. It's on my page. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about recording and pretty much money, I guess, at the end of the day. And how to go about doing things. Now, again, as I say in all these videos, this is my opinion on what I've learned, seen and done over the 25 years that I've been involved in the industry. Doesn't mean it's 100% right. It's my opinion on how to go about doing things. You might have a different opinion, and that's good if you do. So add your opinion in the comments. Please subscribe, of course. Add your opinion in the comments, and let's get a discussion going to help young bands and bands coming through. So, in my opinion, when you go to record, so you've got all these songs done, whether it's an album, an EPK, an album, an EP, or a single even, you need to budget, okay? Now, you can do it yourself at home. And so many bands and artists are doing that, and that's great, okay? If you've got the knowledge and experience to be able to record something that comes out top quality, then good on you, okay? That is great. A lot of bands don't have that though. So most bands, I would say the majority of bands still need to go to a studio and pay to record their music. And even if you don't, even if you're doing it at home, you still got a budget because you've got to buy gear. You've got to have the gear to record in the first place, right? And it all costs money, whether you're doing it at home or whether you're paying a big budget studio. So I think the first and most important thing is budget. Okay, as I said, you need to have enough money to spend on the recording itself. Then you've got to have enough money to get your music out to online platforms. You've got to do merch, so t-shirts, whatever it is that you want to put out. There's so many bands are putting out different things like stubby holders and beer and wine and whatever else. It's all good. But at the end of the day, you've got to pay for it all. And you've got to pay for promotion. So I'll tell you a little story. I'll try and keep this not too long, but I was in a band a few years ago, and we had... my band was called Dead Star Renegade, and we had a budget, which was fairly good budget to spend on recording an album. We went to a fine studio, and we spent a lot of money on this recording. But the money that we had was supposed to be for the recording, and then for promotion, merch, everything basically. And what we ended up doing was we spent all the money on the recording, and we had no money left for anything else. So we walked away with this awesome sounding album in our hands, and we couldn't get it out to the public and to places overseas, all that sort of thing, because we had no money to promote it. We couldn't pay anybody to do it. So we had to try and do it ourselves. And it failed because not all the band members were on the same page when it came to working together to promote the album. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's life. That's you have people in your band that might be gung-ho at going for it and doing everything, and you might have some band members that aren't really into that, don't really know what to do, don't have the confidence to do it and whatever. So in the end, it can come down to relying on too few to do all the work. We ended up with members leaving because they were frustrated. We had a great album that no one was hearing. because we couldn't get any traction for it, because all we had to promote ourselves were gigs and social media. That's it. And I've already talked about social media in the previous video that I did. So we had to pay this money back, of course, that we had for, that we actually borrowed the money from someone, and we had to pay it back. So all we had to try and get this money back was sales of CDs, merch, and gig money, basically. That was nowhere near enough to cover our costs. We spent 2 years playing gigs, selling merch and CDs at the gigs, getting paid for the gigs. And after 2 years, we still owed a fair bit of money. We had new songs written, new members coming on board, wanting to record, and we couldn't do it because we were still paying off the debt that we had. And we just couldn't see the point in borrowing more money and getting further into debt, especially in this day and age. It's hard enough to make a buck as it is, let alone, keep borrowing money and keep getting further and further into debt. It's just going to kill you. So ultimately, the band, we couldn't handle the pressure and the frustrations around it, and we split up. It's a massive regret. We just did not budget correctly. We should have had money left over to engage a PR company, as I've mentioned in the other video. And this is a big reason why bands split up. Money, mate. Lack of money and lack of direction with the money that we had. That's a big reason why bands split, folks. Now, this next part will be interesting because in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, okay? If you've got, let's say you've got 10 grand, just for a figure, let's say $10,000 to spend on your recording, on doing an album or an EP or something like that. If it was me doing this again, I would spend 6 grand of that 10 grand on the recording itself. So the studio time, that includes mixing and mastering, okay? You've got to factor in mastering as well. I'd spend 6 grand on that and I would keep 4 grand for promo. Now, or 60-40 as a minimum, depending on how much money you've got. 60-40, I think 60 on the recording, mastering, pressing, all that sort of stuff. 40% on your promo. 50-50 if you can would be awesome, but we've got to get real here. Not a lot of bands have got a lot of money, have they? So when I say promo, I'm talking about music videos, okay? Ramping up your online presence, engaging a PR company. Now, again, a bit further to that, I think that you, in this day and age, you simply must have at least one good quality music video. At least one. The more video you've got, the better. But at least one for when you launch your album and your first single or whatever. And that costs money. High quality music video is going to cost you money. Okay? The more video, the better. You can never have enough videos. Okay? We live in a digital age. We live in a online, Instagram, YouTube age. Okay? And you can't just rely on the songs and put out the CD and go, or digitally release it or whatever and go, here's the songs, this is it, that's all we need. You don't. You've got to have video, okay? You should not spend all the money on the recording itself. If you do that, I think kiss your ass goodbye. Your band is pretty much doomed because you can't promote it. How are you going to promote it when you spend all the money on recording? The more money you spend, I think the more pressure that this creates, because you need to recoup your spend ultimately before you do your next recording. So getting into big debt, I think in today's music world, I believe it's pointless because you'll never break even, let alone make a profit. It's a difficult industry. It eats into band members' psychology when you owe money. Pressure builds, people get pissed off, they get disillusioned, they leave. Ultimately, your band breaks up and you've just wasted your time and energy on everything. Can be very, very frustrating. So I think you need to be really careful when you're budgeting. Don't just get a heap of money and go, here we go, let's spend it all on the recording and have this thing that sounds world class and the best sounding thing you've ever heard. When you walk home with it and open up your front door and go, what do I do now? Like, how do I promote this? How do I get people to watch this? Because Facebook and all that, it's all changing. You don't have the reach anymore on Facebook as what you had a few years ago. So you've got to have your recording. I think you should have at least one high quality music video, but more if you can afford it, if you can do it. And the other side to that is don't get yourself into massive debt, because you've got to pay it back. And when you find yourself struggling to pay it back, that's when problems start within your band, and ultimately your band breaks up because of things like money, like I keep saying. So yeah, that's today's tip. Budget correctly. Think about what you need your money to go towards. It's not just about recording. It's everything else that comes after the recording. The recording is only the first bit, okay? Getting that end product CD in your hand, or vinyl, or whatever it is you're releasing it on in your hand is sort of halfway through, okay? And then once you've got that, you've got to get it out there to the public for them to hear, for it to be played on radio and all your YouTube videos to get thousands of hits and start making money that way and getting some of your outlay back. Very, very important. So budget, extremely important. Videos, extremely important in this day and age. The old adage of let the music do the talking, that's gone, folks. It does not work anymore, okay? You got to have lots of media stuff to go along with it. That's today's video. I hope all that made sense. If you've got any thoughts or comments, put them in. Let's start a chat. Tell your friends, tell your band members and stuff. If you think this is worth watching, to watch it. Please subscribe to my channel. I've got more of this stuff coming. I've got heaps more coming. Hopefully this helps some people out. I'll see you soon.